I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Join me today as I celebrate the 100th episode of SoFlo Taste. I'll be making recipes that you, your taste buds, have requested. Here today on show number 100 of SoFlo Taste. It's so exciting! This is South Florida. It's where I live and work. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. South Florida is more than sun, sand, and sea. It's a lifestyle of fashion, sound, culture, and of course, food. Food with taste from all over the world. Join me as we celebrate the food of South Florida and the people who love it. Join me as we experience SoFlo Taste. Hello, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Alert the media. Oh, we're kind of the media. Anyway, today is our 100th SoFlo Taste, and we're happy to be celebrating with you, our taste buds. So since this is such a momentous show, I thought it would be fun to make some of the recipes you've requested over those first 99 shows. So let's get cooking. The first recipe I was asked to make is cracked conch. Cracked conch can be done in a lot of different methods and preparations. So the first thing I'm actually going to start is the sauce, because I remember the sauce being crazy good. So I'm going to take a little bit of rum. This is a fresh vanilla bean. It's still nice and flexible, which makes you know that you have your hands on a fresh vanilla bean. I'll just cut it in half and scrape it a little bit and then put some of those scrapings into your sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of shallot to my pot as well so they get nice and tender. I'm going to throw a little bit of orange juice in there so that can reduce down a little bit too. So for the most important ingredient today, the conch. Thanks to Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, we've got fresh conch today. And conch always comes with the little red piece and the horn. I'll remove the horn, put it over here, and I think I just need about 3 pieces because once we start flattening it out, it can really make a lot. Here we have 3 nice clean pieces of conch, and I'll put them, I've taken a big sealable bag and cut it in half so that I don't have to use 2. And I'll put those in here and we'll flatten them out with a tenderizer and pounder. You want them about 1/4 of an inch thin. Maybe 1/8 of an inch is even better. Then I take the tenderizing part of it. And there we have it. Now I'm going to flour, egg wash, and breadcrumb the conch so that it gets nice and crispy. We'll go first into flour, then into the egg wash. To be honest with you, I had no idea that Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market carried fresh conch, so when y'all asked for it, I was pretty excited that they do. So into the egg, into the breadcrumb. These are plain breadcrumbs, no flavor, not panko. And there you have it. Not a lot of breading. Obviously the conch is the star of this dish. Just repeat it with the other 2 pieces. Now remember, conch doesn't really have to be cooked, which is what's so beautiful about it. So we're going to cook it just so that it gets the outside crispy, but we're not looking to overcook the inside. That's the last thing we would ever want. All right, so take your favorite oil for cooking. I'm going to use olive oil, not extra virgin, but just simple olive oil here. And you want to have about a medium heat going in your saute pan. Now, this reduction, we're looking to come down even more than about 3/4 of the way down. And then we're going to just swirl in a little bit of course, unsalted butter and a little lime, and it should be lovely. We're looking for a little bit of a sweet sauce with your cracked conch. That always works nice. So go ahead and gently place your conch in your pan. I'm so happy you all asked for this because I haven't had conch in so long. So like I said, we're not looking to cook this too much. We just want to get the outside a little crisp. Nice and golden. See what beautiful color we've got on here? That's what you're looking for, a nice golden brown color, and I can actually smell the conch right now. So this is ready. There we have it. And season it up real good with some kosher salt on both sides. Lovely. And the rum has pretty much reduced a little bit more than 3/4 of the way. And you see those little shallots in there. It's gotten a little bit thicker. See that? So I'm going to go ahead and place the conch just like so on the plate. And then to this, I'll just swirl in a little bit, not too much, maybe at the most a 1/2 tablespoon of butter. And then add a little bit of sea salt to that butter sauce. Always serve a couple of wedges of lime when you're making conch. And there you have it, a nice rum butter sauce. So I'll put that on this side of the plate. Just lovely. Just what you asked for, cracked conch. First dish on our 100th anniversary of our show. Come right back. Welcome back to our 100th SoFlo Taste. We're here at the Publix Aprons Cooking School in Plantation. Go to Publix.com for more information on the classes here. They are wonderful. So next up, lobster mac and cheese. I've been asked to make this so many times, but it took a viewer to ask me to make it on this show to actually do it. What I have going on are the shells from the already cooked lobster, chopped up a little bit, cooking down with a little tomato paste, and this will be the milk for my bechamel for the sauce. Now, as you might know if you don't buy the packages, you have to make a bechamel for a great macaroni and cheese. But we're gonna jazz up our bechamel a little bit. Already we have, like I said, lobster shells and tomato paste, so it'll give it like a biscuity look to it, as well as obviously the taste from the lobster. Thank you, Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, for that Maine lobster, by the way. I cooked these lobsters, they're 2-pound lobsters. I cooked them for 8 minutes in the saltiest water possible. Pull them out, ice them down, and they're ready to go. Okay, to start the bechamel, I've got some butter. I'm gonna cook some minced shallots in the butter just until they're a little bit soft. And little tiny dice of carrot. I added the carrot. I know it's not usual in a macaroni and cheese, but I thought carrots and lobster and tomato go so well together, why not throw it into the mix? I'll cook them until they get a little bit soft, and then I'll add the flour. Always equal parts of butter and flour, or olive oil and flour when you're making a roux. And here's our Maine lobster. We've got claws, we've got knuckles and tails. I'm gonna go ahead and chop all that up to fold it into our macaroni and cheese. I brought 2 different kinds of pastas today. I couldn't figure out which one to use. This one is called a campanile, and this one is shells. Both are partially cooked, nice and al dente. I think I'm going to do the shells today. If I were to use the campanile, I'd cut the lobster a little bit bigger, but because I'm using shells, I think I'm going to cut the lobster down a little bit smaller. As far as cheese goes, I have Parmesan, Gruyere, and Fontina cheeses because they're really meltable cheeses. Our onions and our carrots have gotten nice and soft. I'm going to go ahead and add the flour to that. And that's going to all come together into something called a roux. And the roux is the most essential step before adding milk to make a bechamel. While that cooks a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and chop up our lobster into, I don't know, not too small a chunk. And just so you know, I always ask for female lobsters when I get Maine lobsters. And it's because I like the roe. The roe is the egg sac. It's the bright green that turns, by the way, beautifully orange-red, and it gives more flavor to any dishes. So this would be the roe. And this is the magic. This is what chefs go crazy over, by the way. We love this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my milk. And add my milk to my roux. with a strainer because I don't want any of the shells inside here. I'm going to start with about half of it because I'm not really sure how thick I want it yet. Yep, I added it all. So let your bechamel cook out just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put this on a nice low heat, let it go, finish cutting the lobster. Now, because everything is basically cooked and we're going to fold the cheese in while it's still warm, we don't really need to cook this for very long. It's really just to set it and for the breadcrumbs, which are already, by the way, toasted in olive oil, just to become a little bit more crisp. You want to check out the bechamel? See what it looks like? See how nice and thick it is? It's exactly what you want for your macaroni and cheese. So right before we mix everything in, I'm going to go ahead and toss the cheeses in and mix it in and let it melt. This is going to be a very happy macaroni and cheese. All right, so in a big bowl, I'm going to mix my shells with my bechamel, cheesy lobstery bechamel, and some lobster. Now for a little finale, if this is for adults, you can add just a little tiny bit of sherry wine. So we'll mix all this together. It's already so cheesy. So what we have as far as the breadcrumbs, these are panko breadcrumbs. They have been toasted in a little bit of olive oil, and they've got a little bit of chopped parsley for flavor as well as tarragon in them. So take a casserole dish, fill it with your lobster macaroni and cheese. Press it down in there a little bit. You really want it to be heaping. There we have it. And then top it with your flavored breadcrumbs. Wow, like so. And then we're going to go into the oven for just a few minutes. When you come back, we're going to pull this out and do the next recipe that we were desperately begged to make on the show. I'll see you in just a few. SoFlo Taste will return right after this.
Congratulations to Michelle on her 100th SoFlo Taste. Now let's find a couple of ways to celebrate that milestone. Taste local cuisine while you groove to the smooth sounds of jazz in the gardens. Enjoy the sensational sounds of performers like Herbie Hancock, Jill Scott, Common, The Roots, and LL Cool J. The festivities are today and tomorrow starting at 4 p.m. at Hard Rock Stadium. For more information, go to local10.com. Next Sunday, March 26th, it's the 13th annual Deering Seafood Festival on the gorgeous grounds of the Deering Estate at Cutler. It's a non-stop celebration with delicious catch from the sea. Be part of the music, cooking demos, projects for kids, live entertainment, refreshments, and of course, seafood. For more information and tickets, visit DeeringSeafoodFestival.org. Now back to the 100th episode of SoFlo Taste, and back to Chef Michelle.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. I bet you just came back to see this lobster mac and cheese, right? Let's see how it came out. Oh, hello, beauty. Wow, this is gorgeous. Ah. So take a look at that. For all of you out there that were asking me to make this dish, that's a nice little gift for y'all. All right, moving on. The last dish that we chose that I was asked to make is actually my daddy's favorite dish. And I love making it because you can impart whatever flavor you're in the mood to that day to give it. So we're making oxtail. These are oxtail, the tail of the cow, cut up. You can buy it whole once in a while. We get it in restaurants whole. I like them better cut like this. Big bone in the center. I serve it on the bone to my father. You can do so much with oxtail. Let me show you my way of making it. It's kind of like a cross between the typical Cuban way and, of course, Mom's way. So I'm going to flour the oxtail ever so slightly. And we eat this at home with our fingers. That's why we keep it on the bone, because there's nothing better than sucking on that bone when you're done with it. It's delicious. So after you put a little bit of flour, you cook it in a little bit of oil. And it takes a lot of different vegetables, and like I said, I love all the flavors that you add to it. So I'm just gonna sear it on one side and then the other side, and then we'll start adding all the vegetables, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So I brought some chilies along to make this nice and spicy, but if you're not into heat, you don't have to use them. Go ahead and flip the meat after it becomes a nice caramelized color. So once you get a nice color on that, then it's time to add your vegetables. So I have some small diced red peppers, some small diced yellow onion, celery, carrots. Shake that up a little bit. Now, here comes all the fun part. A little bit of tomato paste for color and that sweet tomato flavor. Really work it in. And spices. Today I have clove and allspice, just a little bit ground of both. And if you wanted to, you could use them whole and remove them afterwards. It's up to you. I just use a bare little bit because it's not good to be overwhelmingly clove or allspice. Just a little touch. Some chopped garlic, which I put in a little bit later than the other vegetables because it burns a little bit quicker. Okay. Deep cocoa powder. I usually use the organic kind. It's my favorite one. It gives it a dark musky flavor to it. I brought some red jalapenos, which I float in so that I can remove them afterwards. That I'm just gonna cut in half and throw them in there. A little bit of white wine. A little bit of dry Spanish sherry. A little shot of Worcestershire. Let all that come to a boil, heat up together, and once it does, I add beef stock or beef broth to it. If you can't get this stuff, you can always use a little chicken stock. Chicken stock is great for braising anything. And oranges, which I use the zest of. But to be honest with you, like in Mama's Cooking, you can just cut them up, squeeze them in, and throw the peel in. Just remember to take them out later. Lastly, some herbs. I've got some chopped rosemary, chopped thyme, and parsley. And again, don't overdo it because overdoing spices is just as bad as overdoing herbs. It's just too overwhelming. Parsley, no problem. Everything else a little too intense. We're gonna let that come to a boil. Then I like to pour it into either an oven-ready pot or skillet, or just leave it the way it is and cover it, throw it in the oven for a couple of hours. And this is what it turns out to be like. And there you have it. So basically, I skimmed any fat off earlier. And this is what the oxtail looks like when it's done. It's really beautifully crusty on the top. It's ready to come right off the bone. It smells like oranges because of those that I threw in earlier. But I can't think of anything better than serving oxtail for your first time on the bone like this one is. Exactly the way I had it when I was growing up at home. And it made me so happy. When I knew Mom was making it, I would get home as quick as possible to help her finish making it and to serve it to my dad, who was waiting for it happily. I've had a great time with you today commemorating our 100th SoFlo Taste. Thanks for taking time to join me today and all through the last 99. Next week, join me for show 101 when I welcome Chef Cake from Cake Thai Kitchen in Miami to SoFlo Taste. He'll show me some of his signature Thai dishes with a SoFlo twist. Now let's see what's coming up next on SoFlo Home Project. Good morning, Martin.
Hi Michelle, we're getting this patio ready for spring entertaining. It's just around the corner. So coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we're helping a family with their landscape disaster. And the solution is artificial turf, among other things, of course, here on SoFlo Home Project, so you don't want to miss it as we create the perfect space for outdoor entertaining for all those barbecues coming up this season.
Thanks, Martin. Sounds great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We made
to
it.
all of us. So you all know Hunter, Melinda, and of course Amanda, who is always here by my side. Thank you, all of you, to making such a wonderful show and for being here for my 100th. And for all of the people that you can't see that are behind you, I love all of you and thank you all for being with me every single week. And I guess we'll see you next week here on SoFlo Taste. Don't miss it.
See you next
See ya.
week. Happy 100.
Woo!
Congrats.
Bye, everybody.